In this video, we're going to be reviewing the WWE Ultimate Edition Series 27 CM Punk figure from Mattel here, man. And you'll notice mine's a bit beat. Like, look at him in the packaging. It looks like he got ran over by a car. His head sculpt's falling out over here. This guy was loose over here. Kind of pushed it back in. But we do have our third iteration of CM Punk in Ultimate Edition form. We just recently reviewed the Mattel Creations ECW Straight Edge CM Punk from his debut, if you guys want to check that figure out. And then last year, we did get the Money in the Bank Ringside exclusive CM Punk, which was also a really good figure. And I feel like this figure is pretty controversial in a lot of ways, similar to his debut ECW Punk. And we're going to get into all those things, do some comparisons, man. But I'm excited for this figure in a lot of ways, and I'm not excited in some other ways. And we're going to, of course, unpack all that. We're going to get into all of that, of course, and unbox it here today. But you can see here, through the front viewing window, nice shot of the figure right here. It's actually kind of crazy that the Ultimate Edition packaging has remained constant through the entire deal. Haven't seen a lot of variations outside of store exclusives, but mainly, it has pretty much remained the same since the very beginning with Ronda Rousey and Ultimate Warrior. Feels like yesterday they were revealed, and now we're up to Series 27 with all the damn exclusives, all the different stuff. But if you guys want to grab this figure, you can do so over Ringside Collectibles. Use promo code MDTOYS to save yourself 10%. On the side, you get a nice shot of Modern Punk right there with the cross in the front. We got a nice shot of the figure on the back. It's so funny how they almost use the same pose for this photo right here every single time. It's always a prototype, always a hand-painted prototype head sculpt, and I think this was an image that was a part of the display at San Diego Comic-Con as part of the banners and stuff. But got a picture of CM Punk there. You got a little bio info, and then we do have a little bio read down there. This is from SummerSlam 2024, but we do have a shot of Punk there, and then we do have CM Punk's name on the side with the Ultimate Edition logo. And outside of that, man, see that head sculpt falling out down there? You see that? He's kind of trying to get a, I guess, escape or something like that. But we're gonna, of course, unbox this figure, find out what he's all about, and see how it compares to his other Ultimates. But yeah, man, can't wait to unbox it for you. So let's get into it, unbox CM Punk, and see what this Ultimate Edition Series 27 figure is all about. So here's a look at CM Punk out of his packaging, and it feels like deja vu kind of, because I feel like I just reviewed a figure that was very similar, and we did. I mean, I know that was kind of a debut Punk versus a current day Punk, kind of a 20 plus years jump into the future here with this Ultimate Edition Series 27, but I think there's some good aspects to this figure. I think you're going to have some gripes with this figure, which we'll get into, but they did put some new innovations in here. We're going to get into it, take a look at it, observe it, see how it compares, and see all the different things, man. With that being said, let's dive into the accessories you get with this Ultimate Edition CM Punk, and then we will take a closer look at CM Punk himself. So we're getting into the CM Punk accessories here, man, and on par with Ultimate Edition accessories, the only thing you're really missing is a championship. But 3 interchangeable head sculpts, some cloth goods, 4 pairs of interchangeable hands, not too bad here. No little accessories like microphones or anything either, but let's get into these brand new head sculpts we are looking at here, and this one's not bad. He's kind of like a smirk, you know, not too much going on. It looks, I don't know, it definitely looks like CM Punk. I think it is solid. There's just something off about this one to me. I don't know if it's the eye size or what, I don't know. It's not bad though. It's not too bad. I think it looks pretty good for the most part. You also have the Grumpy one, which I do like. I also think that this one, the Grumpy one, looks a bit like Ebenezer Scrooge, I think, from that one Christmas movie? He definitely looks like him right there with that pissed off look. But I like both of these in their own way. I just think they could be a little bit, like, something's off about him. I can't necessarily place it. You can let me know what you think about that. And then we do have the smiling one, which I do really like, but he does have that Colin Farrell. I mean, dude, that is Colin Farrell. That is Colin Farrell. It definitely looks like Colin Farrell there, but I think I like the smiling one the most, I think, of these 3, but we are getting 3 brand new Old Man Punk head sculpts here, which is nice to see. You get some good value there with 3 new head sculpts, so we'll see how that all pans out as we go, but not too bad on these head sculpts. I kind of like them. And then things that make the world go round, we do have the CM Punk hoodie here, and you can see it's got kind of that ransom letter CM Punk there, which is funny because that's kind of how his trunks were back in the day, which is pretty cool. And then on the back, you do get the best in the world graphic there with the CM Punk fists looking pretty good on the back there, and then he does have the little white tassels, which I do like. They just, I don't know, you got to kind of play with them a little bit there so they won't be so weird and stick up and stuff like that, but this is a Velcro hoodie, so you can unvelcro it, put it on the figure, you get the hood, you get the nice cuffs, and he does have the cuffs on there. So it fits the figure well as well, which you'll see in photography and different, well, I know you guys saw it at the beginning of the video, so pretty good, not too bad here. Always love some cloth goods, and this is another hoodie we can add into our CM Punk figures. And then we do have the newly sculpted hand tape or wrist tape hands here for CM Punk. You can see the drug-free on the knuckles, you got the blue X's, and then you do have the white hand tape, which we also saw in the Mattel Creations Edition's exclusive ECW Punk. So you are getting that across the board here with these hands. And then you're also getting it in fists. Now, the thing that makes these different than the Mattel Creations is that the wrist tape is actually sculpted on this figure. So you're not getting that weird sculpted hand tape, no sculpted wrist tape, which we'll get into. But when you get into the go to sleep hands or the prayer hands, you do get the drug-free hand tattoos and you do get the hand tape on there, but no sculpted hand tape on these hands specifically. So they just started out with the mic holding and the fists, and then maybe, I guess, eventually, hopefully, we'll get some sculpted wrist tape and hand tape onto these hands as well, depending on how many punks they put out, which I think that's going to be one of those things. We may never see that because, you know, they got to pick and choose where they give you sculpted, you know, newly tooled things and stuff, so we'll just have to, you know, see how that goes. And last but not least, we do have the peace sign hands or the, you know, the two hands here, and you get the drug-free tattoos. And again, similar to the prayer hands, no sculpted hand tape on here, but at least they're painted well. You get the hand tape look, you get the blue X's. So yeah, I don't think it's the biggest deal of all time, especially if it's facing the other way. You can't really see the sculpted hand tape, so I don't think it's the biggest deal, but it would be ideal in a perfect world to get sculpted hand tape on all the hands, but I guess it's just not realistic at this juncture. So we're getting into CM Punk at the top of the head sculpt. I just kind of put the neutral face in there with the kind of standard kind of low-key smirk going on, and again, not a bad head sculpt. I don't hate it. I think it's, you know, it's formidable, I guess, here with the CM Punk figure. But going down into the torso, same torso that we got on his last Ultimate Edition, which is the Great Muta torso, I do believe. Got his chest tattoo in there. Would really like to see them fill this in. I know that this is not supposed to be unfilled. I'm pretty sure the flowers are filled in. There's some more color packed in there and everything, but it doesn't look that bad. I'm not one of those that loses his mind over it. I just think it could be included by now. But you do have the poking out shoulders, man, which again is just the big eyesore with this figure. That is the main issue with this figure, is these giant shoulders that stick out here. And it doesn't look that bad until you stand back and you're like, okay, yeah, that does look a bit weird. Like, nobody's shoulders poke out like this. These should be sitting in there way further, and that is just kind of an issue with this torso. They made the sockets right here too small. They're too small. There's just not a big gap for these to slide in there, and you get these shoulders poking out, which is a big eyesore. I mean, it's a big problem, man, and that is the issue with this torso. And I really like this sculpt. I think it looks pretty realistic. It's, you know, it's not overly defined. It looks great in that way, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But you do have all the tattoos straight edge. You got the tattoos going around. Sculpted wrist tape, man, and it almost looks fake. You know, it looks painted on, but it's there. It is sculpted on there, and they did a really good job on that. I don't know how they did that, but it's so subtle and so thin that it's nice, and you can see the hand tape on. Honestly, I wish the hand tape was that thin. You can see how thin it is here. I wish it looked that subtle and nice on the hands. The hands look a bit thick, but it's not the biggest deal ever. You do have the Bret Hart style gear here with the pink, black, and white, which looks good. And I think the shade of pink they're using is a little bit different. It's not quite right, but I don't know. It's not the biggest deal to me personally. You do have the shoulder tattoo in the back on the butterfly joints, and one thing I do love here is when you articulate these butterfly joints, you do get the tattoos continue, which I think is a nice detail. Always appreciate things like that. And then going down, you do have some schmutz on the back there. You got some paint chipping there with QC, but these thighs look pretty good. You got the standard knee pads. And then one thing you'll notice is on the lower legs, they are skin tone. Now, I do believe there's a running change where there is a black lower leg variant, which I think looks better. I think the black lower legs makes it just look so much better to me. But so it's actually not a black lower leg variant color change. It's actually just the Money in the Bank Ultimate Edition CM Punk lower legs instead of the new legs that we saw on the last one. We do have the skin tone version here. Really want to, if I find one in the wild or something with black lower legs, I'm definitely going to grab it. I think that looks better to me. But the kick pads look good. I get clean paint deco, which is nice to see. White, pink, and black. You do have the nice feet in there. Now, standing back here, I guess the shoulders don't look as bad as on the debut Punk, and I don't know really what that is, but they're definitely sticking out too far. His arms look a bit long here. I don't know. I guess it's not just the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's definitely there. You can definitely see it. I see it, and it definitely bothers me. But as far as articulation goes, you can look down pretty good and up a little bit. I'm still waiting on that ball hinge, man. We're going to see it on the Target exclusive Bray Wyatt Legends Ultimate coming soon, which I'm excited about. But get a little bit of head rocking and pivoting here. Ab crunch on this torso is not the best, and you also get that kind of Spinosaurus look there with the back muscles, but he can pivot as well. And something we talked about with the last Ultimate Edition CM Punk is the way that they cut this. You can't come straight across, which is very annoying. They should have cut this in a little bit more and brought this, you know, this little part here where the butterfly joint is, this should be a little bit bigger and more lower instead of upper up here. It needs to be more in the middle chest to lower chest so that when you articulate this, it can come across. The only way you can get it to come across is raise up the arm a little to get it across here, and then the shoulder pops out. So that's just that's another annoying feature about the Great Muta style torso, is you're not getting the greatest butterfly joint ever, but they can go back pretty far, which is good. I like that as well. And then the shoulders can go above 90. You can go down all the way around, bicep cut. Double jointed pinless arms, of course. You get rotation and hinge in the wrist, which is nice. And then you do get a nice waist swivel, which is pretty tight for the most part. Then he can kick forward above 90 because he does have the drop down hip feature, which I know is a controversial topic. I think if they remain tight and don't get super loose, I think that drop down hips are fine, but the way they're making them right now, they just get a bit loose over time, and this one does feel a lot more sturdy than the debut Ultimate Edition Punk from Mattel Creations. You do get the upper thigh cut, you get a buttery smooth double jointed knee because they're not pinless, which is beautiful to see. And then you do get kick pad rotation, ankles go up and down, and you do get the beautiful ankle rocker, and then you do get the toe pivot. So you're getting a lot of articulation here, which is nice. I just wish that the ab crunch was improved. I'd like to see the ball hinge, of course, implemented, and all those different things. But for the most part, man, this is a pretty posable wrestling action figure. But we do have to get into some Punk comparisons here for this new Ultimate Edition. So for your Ultimate Edition CM Punk action figure comparisons, here we have the Mattel Creations ECW debut straight edge CM Punk Ultimate, and then we also have the Ringside exclusive CM Punk Ultimate Edition from Money in the Bank, and you can see the differences in the torso. Just look at the arms, man. Look at the shoulders and the arms here between these two. You see how these are inside there and they don't poke all the way out? You can see the whole shoulder is sticking out of the torso versus this one where it's kind of in there and slanted more in. I think I like this torso better for CM Punk, but the fact that these shoulders do not go all the way in is a big issue for me, and they just poke out, and it's very annoying. I think it just looks odd, but I do like all of these in their own ways. I think you have some good stuff going on. I just think that this looks a lot more natural, a lot better, and then you have this one where the shoulders poke out, and then this one's a leaner, younger CM Punk there, which, you know, it is what it is, so they are using different legs and stuff. So this one actually is a hair taller because they're using a different thigh mold, which I guess you could do a leg swap. You could get a new Ultimate, like one of these new Ultimates, and pop the legs over there, put some black kick pads on there, probably fix that guy up just a little bit. Or, I mean, you could do a torso swap, all those things, remove some tattoos, do some different things there, and then fix that guy up. But he was, you know, a little bit leaner probably than 2011, but I guess it's not the biggest difference between them, you know? It's not just this ridiculous look that is so outside the norm that it's not okay. But I'm also seeing that no elbow pad again on this figure, which I think is annoying, which I don't even know if he wore an elbow pad, but definitely worth mentioning. But do want to get us some head sculpt swaps. So if you guys want to take your Money in the Bank and, you know, put on the pissed off head sculpt or something like that and just kind of see what that looks like there. Could probably repaint this one and see what that looks like. I don't think that looks half bad right there. Yeah, it's not half bad. And then if you want to put maybe the smirking one, the classic head sculpt, maybe you want to put that one onto the new Punk. You could do that as well. Sits maybe a little high, but it's not that big of a deal. I think that could also work for you if you wanted to do that. And then if you wanted to put the smiling head sculpt onto the, you know, the Money in the Bank there. It looks like his neck. He ain't got no neck, so you may want to pull that up a little. Yeah, that ain't half bad right there. Not bad. Reminds me of the Elite, what, 20 or something? That ain't too bad. So you can do that, I guess. And then, yeah, not half bad right there. But that may actually be my favorite look. I don't know. We'll have to play around with some different fix-ups and stuff. But, yeah, there's some head swaps for you if you want to, you know, play around with that or do whatever. And then I guess we could put the neutral one over here, too, if you want to see what that looks like. Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all. I didn't push it all the way down. If you push it all the way down, he has no neck. He looks kind of crazy. But you can, like, not sit it on there. And, I mean, that's pretty good. And it doesn't pop right off. So, yeah, that ain't bad. And then for another Ultimate Edition figure comparison, we do have the Ultimate Edition Series 26 Drew McIntyre, which is who he took on in his matchup in this gear. And then we have a look at his arch nemesis is Seth Rollins. So, here's just an Ultimate Edition comparison. And I think all three of these scale pretty well for the most part together. And it is cool to see these up next to each other in Ultimate Edition form. But, yeah, I dig it. I think this is pretty comparable. If you guys want to have these guys wrestling, this is going to be perfect for your display, your modern collections, your figure matches, whatever. This is going to be a pretty nice battle. And then for your CM Punk action figure comparisons as far as the rest of our CM Punks, this is every CM Punk Elite and Ultimate that we have gotten from Mattel so far since his return at Survivor Series War Games. I think this is all of them besides the brand new Bash at Berlin white gear, and we do have a Chase figure, I do believe, coming, and then we do have a new Ultimate Edition coming down the pipe that's going to have a Larry figure, so lots of CM Punk to come, as we know, of course, and it's new top talents with a new torso and stuff, so that'll be fun to do a comparison with. But from left to right, you do have the Top Talents Elite CM Punk from his first live event, Elite 113 Macho Man gear, Defining Moments Pipe Bomb, Ringside Exclusive Punk, Mattel Creations Ultimate Edition, Ringside Collectibles Ultimate Edition, Elite 115, Mattel Creations Return Hell Frozen Over Elite, and Straight Edge Society re-release Ringside Exclusive from the Vault Elite. Very cool, man. Very cool to get all these iterations of Punk, and they're not done, of course. There's so many other Punks that I'd still like to see from Mattel. I'd like to see the Yankees gear. I'd like to see the G.I. Joe gear from WrestleMania 26, I think it was. His Bash at Berlin gear was a gear that I really wanted, so we do have a lot of great Punks, though, man. A lot of great Punks, and I look forward to more and more as they want to release them. And we do have that Royal Rumble Elite coming out, too. The 2010 Royal Rumble Elite in red, so that'll be fun as well. But that wraps it up for your CM Punk action figure comparison. One thing else I want to do is I want to take my buddy Dan Turnquist, take his World Championship here, because he was World Champion for about 5 seconds until, the ruse of the century or whatever they say, or the predictable cash-in of the century with Seth Rollins. So there he is with that. And then if you want to see what the Mattel version of the championship looks like, this is what it looks like. It's a little bigger, a little shinier, but it does look good. And you'll see it in photography too. So I'll do some photography so you guys can see what it looks like, just to, if you want to compare it there. But he looks pretty good with his championship, not going to lie to you. But I think that all but wraps up this WWE Ultimate Edition CM Punk action figure review, man. At the end of the day with this specific CM Punk, man, I mean, you are getting 3 brand new head sculpts, which is actually kind of insane when you think about it. It looks very similar to some of the ones we saw on the Money in the Bank one, but they are different. And it is that older man CM Punk. I think that they're pretty solid. I mean, I don't think they're just the best head sculpts I've ever seen. I like the smiling one a little bit. I think the grumpy one is close. I just feel like he looks a little bit too old, maybe. I don't know. It's a solid head sculpt. I think it's like the nose or something, but the likeness is there. You can put it on there. You get that grumpy CM Punk there, but it does kind of have that Ebenezer Scrooge or whatever the hell kind of style going on. But I mean, the issues that I have with this figure are going to just go back to this torso, man. And I don't think it's the torso. I like this torso. It's the sockets of the butterfly joints are too small, and so the shoulders cannot go in there, and they create that really wide boulder shoulder look, and it is an issue on this figure. It's the same thing that we saw with his other one, and I also think they need to fill in the tattoos, man. Why? His chest tattoos are not filled in still to this day. They need to fill that in with some color and fix that up a little bit, maybe redo the decal in modern day maybe. But I think the head sculpts are fine. I think the gear is great. I think that he feels good in the hand. He poses around really well, which is nice to see. He's not stiff or anything. Very similar to that ECW Punk. He poses around really nice on this formula. I do like the sculpted tape as well. I think that looks so good. It's very subtle too. I don't know how. I feel like in the modern day, able to get that very fine detail there on the sculpted wrist tape instead of having it really thick is really impressive. I like this figure. It's just, it's very, very similar to that ECW Punk, where you can hide it with articulation or what pose you go with. You put a hoodie on it, you can hide it, but it is an eyesore. It's a definite eyesore, and I think it will take away from the figure, but everything else considered, I do like the figure. I think the gear's good. I love the sculpted wrist tape. I can't wait to see, who else they include with that and how they build off of that in the future with other wrist tapes and things like that. So that'll be really fun to see how that unfolds. But I do like this figure. I just think that with the boulder shoulder situation that we have with these figures, I just don't know how high he is going to rank. But in terms of a modern CM Punk Ultimate, it's fair. But I mean, you probably could just do a head swap with his Money in the Bank one and then have a modern day CM Punk. You know what I mean? I know that the torsos are different, and I think I do prefer this torso compared to that other torso. But it does lack in butterfly joint capability in terms of articulation a little bit there. We talked about that in that ECW Punk review as well. I do like how it continues the tattoos and the butterfly joints, though. I think that is a nice detail. I just think the boulder shoulders are going to hold him back a little bit, man. That's just kind of the end of the day what you get with this Punk. But I did have fun shooting it. It's a solid iteration. It'll be interesting to see where he ranks at the end of the year with this Ultimate. But you guys know I'm a sucker for black and pink. I like the accessories. You get a good little amount right here with this Punk, man. And I do like the figure, but I think it's just going to be Are you willing to put up with the bolder shoulder, wide shoulder deal, or is it not that big of a deal to you? You can make all those decisions down in the comment section below and let me know what you think, but that is all. We're going to wrap it up for me, man. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'd love to know where you stand on this Punk, if you're picking it up, all those different things, man. But I'm getting the hell out of here. Huge shout out to our Patreon members, man. I appreciate all you fellas so very much. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you so much for your continued support. But I'm getting the hell out of here, man. I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed one, and I'll catch you guys later.